Well, go on, people. Welcome back to the Finalist Podcast. I am Javon, and today we have a very special guest with me, the Miz, the Miz. And I'm not talking about the one that's awesome, but I'm talking about the one that's on the other side of the coin. We are about to get into a very interesting discussion about Chelsea because I'm sure you guys seen us on All You Can Eat Chelsea, and people think that we are heated. We just have very different ideologies sometimes, and we may view things a bit differently, but I promise you it's on the same path. I promise you we both want the same things. But before we get started, let me introduce the fellow Miss. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. What's going on?
My pleasure. Love talking to you. I know. There's quite a lot of comments that has happened in recent times in All You Can Eat Chelsea, and I've said to people that we're all with different views, and it just creates a good showing, creates a good viewing, and as you said, we're all in the same path. We may have different perspectives, but we're all in the same path. So excited to be here again, and I'm pretty sure things are going to get very, very intense very soon.
Promise you it won't. Because after yesterday, no, yesterday was unacceptable. But where do we start? Let's pick up where we left off on All You Can Eat Chelsea the last time I was there. We had a discussion about the mentality and the state of the club. And it was said right then and there about Madueke's Instagram post. And I think a lot of people misinterpreted what I said. So let's start there. I think your views were that post shouldn't have happened, correct? Right.
Yeah, it was more the fact that we've lost. Like, just don't do these nonsense stuff. Like, there's no need for it. Goddamn focus. There's bigger things in life to focus about. So that was the whole idea that it's not appropriate timing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And my thoughts at the time, and I still stand by it, is based on the discussion that we were having, that shouldn't be the point of entry when it comes on to the mentality, right? I was angry because there was a whole heated debate at the time, right? And we're supposed to be having a serious discussion. So what I'm saying at the time is if this is a serious footballing discussion, that shouldn't be the point of entry when you're attacking the topic of the mentality at the club. The point of entry should have been what's happening on the pitch, because I'm pretty sure if what's happening on the pitch get fixed, that doesn't happen. Get where I'm coming from. Miss, this is probably going to surprise you. See, after everything that happened yesterday, all these players are shit. I am done. I clocked out. I'm tired of being the positive guy. For those people who thought I was defending Madueke, I was never defending Madueke. I was defending the ideology that an Instagram post is, the starting point to what it is. I'm done. Neto is shit. Madueke is shit. Jackson is shit. Nkunku is shit. I am done. But this it. Swipe the clock. Swipe the card. Clocked out. I am done. Y'all got it. I was wrong. And I know I make it seem funny, but I am 100% serious. Yesterday was completely unacceptable, and it sums up everything to do with the club. Lethargic, pathetic. All the adjectives you can to describe what's going on. I have fully woken up, and I don't mean woken up from a sleep, because it's very early here at this time, but I am done. What do you think? I know you've been there before. I know you've been here before. You've got to the parking lot before me, bro. But I fully understand.
Do you know what? It's not. This has been my gripe recently. You know how you said I've tried to be positive. Let's start from there. Why do we need to try to be positive? Like what? Why is this meant to be something that we need to try to be? Let's be positive when things are positive. Let's let our emotions be natural.
Mhm.
Let's not try and manifest something that's not a natural thing. I find it very, very odd. And this is where people get misconstrued about positivism and negativism. Be real.
Mhm.
Just be real. Now, if real means for some people being positive, okay, well, then that's their choice. Be positive. If real means for some people that you're being negative, well, that's on you.
Mhm.
Be real. I think that is the message here. And I've I've been real since probably when things with Graham Potter was going wrong.
Mhm.
Because prior to that, it was very difficult to understand where the new ownership was going, what they're all about. You needed to see a little bit of, um, you needed to gather a bit of data, right, before you
Mhm.
can make a judgment. But by the time Graham Potter was so out of his depth and he was sacked, and then Frank Lampard came into interim management, from there on, it was so obvious to me that these owners, when we talk about inexperience, Javon, you know
Yeah.
how we talk about managers inexperience, we talk about players inexperienced. Our owners are inexperienced.
Mhm.
It's like when the head of the table is inexperienced, like imagine in a family, let's say, generally speaking, the man is the
Head of the table.
head of the table. Like, there
Mhm.
could be women at times the head of the table in a family, and that's fine.
Mhm.
Generally, the man is the head of the table. If the man is inexperienced, well, he's not going to have any control over his family,
Mhm.
his kids, his finances, nothing, because he's inexperienced. And this is what started happening. The bullshit, you know, decisions that took place during that season, straight after Thomas Tuchel being sacked. And it continued on. Like, after the first season, you thought, okay, do you know what? I'll just put it under the bed. Like, I'll slide this one. But then the nonsense carried on in the second season. And you go, you know what? You're still learning. You're still learning. No problems. And here we are, Javon, 3 years in. And you've just said they're all shit. The players are shit. This, that, everyone's shit. We can't even be like, yes, there's a lot of fraudulent players.
Mhm.
There's a fraudulent manager, maybe as well.
Mhm.
But it all starts from the top, man.
Yes, sir.
It all starts from the top. Like, who's organizing all of this?
Mhm.
Who's assembling all of this? Whose idea is all of this? So I'm beyond looking at just players. Like, when I was watching the game against Brighton, I was so annoyed and angry that how lethargic and how lackluster and how lifeless we look, soulless.
Mhm.
But it dawned on me that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I change the manager. It doesn't matter if I change the players. If the head on top is still an idiot,
Mhm.
this nonsense will continue. So
Yep.
we can have all of these players gone and get a whole bunch of players. You think they're going to get the kind of players that we want? No, they won't.
Yep. Yep.
So this is where I'm at. I'm not in the business of, look. You can. I know there's a lot of. Look, I'm getting annoyed with Maresca as well.
Mhm.
You can get rid of him. I've got no affiliation with this guy. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah. None of us do.
None
Yeah.
of us do, and it's not like I'm tied close with any players either. Like, you can get rid of any of the players. I'm not going to lose my sleep. I'll
Mhm.
sleep fine.
Mhm.
But we need to get rid of these owners.
Yeah, bro.
Somehow now we need to start creating a wave
Mhm.
which is going to push these owners away. Because until and unless that happens, Javon, I'm telling you, nothing
Yeah,
will change. Nothing will change.
definitely. When I said I have woken up, So those 2 seasons that you mentioned previously, I was right there from the jump. I was right there from the get go because for me, Graham Potter, even though he played good football at Brighton, he didn't warrant it may sound messed up, but if I'm keeping it real, he didn't warrant an opportunity at Chelsea, in my opinion. Right?
I agree. I agree.
Frank Lampard, the coming back, we could have done better. When he came back as interim at that time, I could allow it because if the club is saying we're going to wait until the summer to get a permanent manager, this is what it is, right? We're not even going to go over the Pochettino because that was dreadful. The reason why I said I've woken up, it's because I've seen this manager do things with the squad he's given earlier in the season. I was genuinely being positive. I wasn't trying to be positive. I was.
It was your natural instinct. It was your natural instinct.
Yes, because you've shown me you can do something good. You've shown me you can do. It's not like the minute Graham Potter came through the door, he was acting like he's never been here before. It's when Graham Potter came here, he was acting like, when you go car shopping and you see like a Maybach in Mercedes and you're losing your head. Oh my God, it's a Maybach. Yes, we get it. It's a very expensive car, but look around. You're creating a scene. Act like you've been. That's the feeling I got from Graham Potter. What I got from Enzo Maresca in the earlier part of the season. When you go to these dealerships and you see a Maybach, you see a G-Wagon, or you go to Ferrari and you see the top class of cars. Enzo Maresca at the start of the season, to use the analogy, was like, nice car. And that's the feeling I was getting from him. A bit of composure. May not like the players he's having, but he can get something out of it. But over the past 5 games where we were in our loss, when I was speaking at the time, I was solely critiquing what I was seeing on the pitch and what I was hearing from the press conference. Now that I've fully woken up, what I actually mean by that is everything that you said to me that I think you were overly negative of, I hear it now. And you want to know why? You know me very well, Miz, when it comes on to footballing IQ. You know I can do the conversation when it comes on to the board, the room stuff, but I always start on the pitch because it's football, so you start on the pitch.
Yeah.
Where I've fully woken up and where I'm actually clocked out is think about this, Miz, and I want your opinion on this.
Yeah.
We've spoken about the squad building, right? But when you really look at this squad, whether we're absolute garbage or not, shouldn't you, when Joao Felix was here, when Nkunku was here, shouldn't you be tactical enough to be able to put out a formation to try and get the best out of these players using their attributes? It's okay to have your formation that you default to and your style of play that you default to. But when you have the squad that we had with multiple players, right, you should be able to take note to say, you know what, it's going horribly for me right now. And I'm talking, just take yourself back to maybe 2 games into that on not winning run. If you see that it's a drop in form and you see like Jackson's back to his horrendous ways, Neto is not performing, Madueke is still shit, may get you goal and output, but it's horrible player, right? Shouldn't you then, because hear me out, what he could have done is, hear what? I have experienced younger players. They may have not hit the levels that they were touted to be when they were coming up, but they've done something. Why don't I go with 2 inside 10s and the striker up top, right? Inside 10s could have been Joao Felix and Nkunku. Hear me out. Hear me out. We didn't see this, but that's an option. Because guess what? Everybody's complaining that Nkunku is not a striker and he's not playing in his natural position. Cool. Another thing that I noticed, we didn't get a striker, right? For the people in the watching, hear me. We didn't get a striker. Both our strikers got injured. We know Nkunku is not a striker. Based on what's given to you and what's available, you are now forced to change your system and style of play to accommodate a center forward to get the best out of him. Because Nkunku is not a striker. So what you could have done, and my blood is boiling right now, what you could have done is play Nkunku as a false 9. because it's not necessarily that Nkunku drops deep is the problem, people. It's what happens when he drops deep. You don't tell Cole Palmer, listen, I'm going to play you slightly behind Nkunku, but you guys can rotate and bound and play off each other. So when Nkunku drop deeps to get the ball, you should be in that space to occupy that free space. There's multiple times yesterday when Nkunku dropped deep to get the ball, and I see people losing their heads. Why is he dropping so deep? And then in that same space, Palmer is down near to him, or Palmer is looking at him, asking, just slightly wide over in that right half space. And I'm like, Palmer, if you're going to be in that right half space, why don't you tell the right winger to dart into the free space? And if you dart into the free space with a swerving run, there's no way you could be offside with that simple ball over the top. And I'm like, if I am not a coach, if I am just a fan that's analyzing the game real time, why can't you see these things? You are forced to make changes because of injuries. It's a cup game. And winning this cup game that puts us to the next level fully, really and truly would lift the morality of the club. Because we can all do the shameless thing and take some positivity at the end of the season if we won the FA Cup, the Conference League, and finish 4th or 5th. There is some positivity to that.
Yeah.
The reason why I have fully woken up is I realize, and I'm going to keep it real, I realize this manager is too strict with the system, and that all comes from the top. All of that, this bollocks come from the top. Because you know why? You can give the excuse, oh, he's a naive manager, he's a young manager. But who does it come from? Who hired him?
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I fully woken up. It starts on the pitch for me. And when I'm seeing your inability to make changes when you have the players to make these, I'm not asking you to make changes to accommodate scrubs. No. What are your thoughts on it? Because I could go on for days and you don't speak.
No. You know what? Like, there's a lot of validity in what you're saying, Javon. There is. The problem is there's just so many layers, in what you've said. Like, why doesn't Maresca, like you've just said, I can see there's a different solution. Why doesn't he do that? Many reasons, maybe. One, he's also learning, Javon. This guy is not someone who's managed at the top level for 15, 20 years, won championships after championships, titles after, like, he's new to this environment, and he's only continuing with a process and a system that he feels has so far worked for him. So he's not feeling comfortable, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I've not spoken to Maresca, nor do I know his inside of his brain and whatnot, but this is just how I feel he may be operating. He's a rookie manager. Let's be honest. He's a rookie manager. He's had one proper season with Leicester. He just about won the championship. He went on a mad run, and then it all got chewed up by Ipswich, I believe. And he just pipped them right at the end. And that's it. He was an assistant manager under Pep Guardiola. He had a little bit of a stint, I think, at Parma a few years ago or something like that. He's probably not at a position where he can evolve. He can be, pragmatic about many different. He's only evolving within his system. Like, within his system, sometimes he may build up with 3. Sometimes he may build up with a 2, 2-3, or 3-2, or whatever the case is. He's not necessarily going to go out there and play a way that he's not comfortable with, that he doesn't know anything about. So maybe that's one thing. The other thing is, Maresca talks about balance. He talks about attack and defensive balance a lot. The problem is, we don't seem to have the balance anyway. But this man is very big on balance. He's very big on balance. Now, is that his natural sort of instinct from before when he was managing Leicester? I don't know whether I get it. He doesn't want to be. He comes across a manager is not a risk taker.
Yeah.
He's conservative first. His first and foremost is I'm conservative and I'm going to see if I can score a goal and we'll win, which is probably not the right attitude for a top club. Like top club manager needs to be, you know, I'm not going to say reckless, but you need to be on the front foot a lot more.
And
Um,
ruthless.
and and by saying front foot, I don't necessarily mean be a novice in the back. No, have a structure that accommodates for everything. Now this structure that we talk about, this is where I think he's probably one thing I'll say to Maresca. He's done the research. He's not stupid. He
Mhm.
knows what players good at what situations and what systems and what not. Maybe he's already clocked Javon that in order for him to play on the front foot, he don't have elite players to do that. And that's true. He
Mhm.
can't play on the front foot. Let's just say sometimes we go, play Joao, play Felix and play Palmer. Try and fit both of them in. But he's probably thinking, okay, if I fit both of them in, is my boy Levi Colwell able to defend wide areas at times by himself and be competent 1v1? And he's
Mhm.
worried. He's
Mhm.
seen him. He's not competent. So he's like,
Nope.
okay, I can play Felix, but I'm taking a gamble here because I'm not certain Felix and Palmer together
Mhm.
are going to be able to cover for off the ball when there is a mistimed pass, because it's going to happen. Felix and Palmer are not players that are going to make every pass. They're going to
Mhm.
make every decision is going to be crisp. They're going to have the odd pass that's going to fall to an opposition in a
Yeah.
very, very bad location of the field, which
Mhm.
can then isolate our defenders.
Mhm.
Now, if he had a defender of the caliber of Virgil van Dijk, who's got that stature, I
Yeah.
don't care if it's 1v1. I'll take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah. That fear factor as well.
Yeah, he sees his defenders are going to crumble. So I think there's an element of that as well, Javon, that maybe he's not being able to go to that front foot because he doesn't
Mhm.
feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there's inexperience. There's that fear factor of not feeling the, and it's true, Javon, man. The amount of time he doesn't use Nkunku, the amount of times he doesn't use Joao Felix off the bench, we've seen it. The amount of
Mhm.
times he doesn't use so many different players, it's clear as daylight. He doesn't feel the trust. He doesn't feel like he can trust them enough. So
Mhm.
we can sit here and go after Maresca, but the question once again circles around: who
Right back.
hired? Yeah, who
Mhm.
hired
Right
this
back
guy?
up there.
Who
Mhm.
who hired this guy? You hired a guy that is not the complete package. And Chelsea Football Club is not a club to F around
Mhm.
and have so many players that are learning on the job, but also a manager that's learning
No.
on
No.
the job,
No. Yeah.
also a sporting directors that are learning on the job, also owners that are learning on the job. It's just it's crazy. It's foul play.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go
Two
on.
things. When you said Levi Colwill, the reason why I make that face is I just want that guy out the club, bro. That's not a defender. That is not a defender. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm gonna give you some scenarios and you're gonna laugh. Secondly, these sporting directors are not learning on the job. This is just who they are.
Yeah,
Let's keep it let's keep it
yeah,
100%. Because they've been doing this at Brighton
yeah.
and
True,
wherever they came from.
true.
They're not learning on the job, people. This is who they are.
Yeah,
Let's stop. They don't get any excuse whatsoever from me.
true.
They need to pack their things and leave. No, I was on the Yardman podcast yesterday, and it's a podcast where we in Jamaican, so we criticize and then we give a little bit of jokes, a little bit. So let me give you a joke, right? Can you imagine if somehow we make Champions League football, right? And you have people like Rodrigo and Mbappe going up against Levi Colwill.
Get smoked, bro. We'll get smoked. We're absolutely gonna get smoked.
Bro, we were having a discussion yesterday, and I'm saying, I do not want to see that. At this point, give me Europa League instead. I
Do you
don't
know
want
what?
to be Champions League to get
Do you know what,
whooped.
Javon? It's not even about Levi. Like, obviously, Levi Colwell is a concern because he's not been good enough. But it's not just him. You name any of the defenders, none of them have been good enough.
None of them, bro.
They're all second tier. They all need a top quality, like a JT. They all need a John Terry-esque type of a defender next to them because they don't know. They don't know much better. They don't know how to navigate through a game. They
Mm.
need that experienced person to guide them. So one day they can then have all of these, navigation skills built in, and then they can help the next youngster. What's happening at Chelsea is not only they don't have any reference point, they're having to teach players that are even younger than them.
Yeah, but and another thing to add to that, I hear it, but the reason why I don't have any faith in any of these defenders, because I see nothing to give me faith. Cool. Let's take your point, because I know we have the same sentiments when it comes on to Colwell. But let's take your point in they need another person to eventually get there. What is his good attribute as a defender?
Levi Colwell.
Yes. Not even just him, because I don't want people to think I'm attacking him.
Yeah.
Anybody in the back line at all.
To be honest, none of them are really good at defending.
Yes.
Let's go through. Let's say, for example, Tosin. Tosin's not an. All of his defensive attributes are not the greatest.
Mhm.
The only thing that you can say is really good is aerial.
Mhm.
He's not really good when it comes to pace. He's not really good when it comes to physicality all the time. He's not very good in awareness.
Mm.
Same thing you can say about Chalobah. Chalobah, one thing you can say, okay, there's maybe a lot more better defensive attributes. You can say that his recovery pace is good. You can say that he's a good tackler.
Mhm.
But he also has this sort of similar problems. Awareness,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff is a bit of a problem for Chalobah. Dissection, we already know. We don't need to talk about what his flaws are.
Mhm.
Buddy Shield has flaws.
Mhm.
Wesley Fofana has flaws.
Mhm.
So, we don't have anyone that we can say, okay, do you know what? That's an elite level defender. That's an elite.
And I'll argue, Miz, I'm not even asking for elite. Because remember, the guy that peers the elite is, what would you say, average at best? Or even slightly above average? None of these guys, barring maybe Chalobah, because we've seen him play beside elite defenders and can give you performance.
Yeah.
I can argue that these players don't show any level to be the guy beside that elite player. And you know why? Because when you look at Gary Cahill, he was the guy beside JT, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You could point up defensively, positionally, good.
Yeah.
Aerially, good.
Yeah.
Right? Even without
100%.
JT. Because we've
100%.
seen him without JT beside him, right? You can't say this. The only player in the back line that I could say that would be good beside that elite player is probably Tosin. And Chalobah, because we've seen it beside Thiago Silva and whatnot before.
Yeah.
But I see no attribute from the other two people or from the other three people, Dissection, Badiashile, Colwell, and Fofana, from the other four people to say to me, oh, Javon, we stick him beside Van Dijk, we'll see something. No, I don't see any attribute that warrants that discussion. Because guess what? Colwell, very timid, not good aerially. He was supposed to be good at passing out the ball, but that's a net negative, because if you're going to be in wide areas and give the ball to the opposition, that's passing the ball well, yes, but against your own team, right?
Yeah.
Badiashile, come on, Badiashile, when he just started, good, but he was beside that elite defender in Thiago Silva. And then when we get to Dissection, we're not going to talk about that fridge because he's at Aston Villa. So when I say these things, I've actually sat down and looked at it from a footballing level, and I say these players are just absolute shit. And you cannot give me a proper rebuttal because we've given them time.
Yeah.
Multiple managers.
Do you know
I've
what?
been the patient guy.
Do you know what?
Sorry, go ahead.
You probably have a point. You know, like I'm someone who was trying to be patient with Levi Colwell. I thought I saw glimpses of his defending and his ball playing when he was in Brighton on loan. Although short sample size, I don't know whether different manager who utilized him in a way that maybe that got the best out of him. I don't know. I just felt that maybe I saw something, but he's been such a disappointment, man. Like last season under Pochettino, he was a disappointment, and this season he's been a total disappointment. And now I'm at a point where I agree with you. Like maybe it's just Tosin and Chalobah, and that's not even. It's a shame that we are accepting of Tosin and Chalobah, like because they're not even levels either. Like they're not
Exactly,
even
bro.
levels, but we are so depleted in terms of quality in the defensive line that we hold Chalobah and Tosin at a higher pedestal. Like Tosin, look, I got no disrespect towards Chalobah. I think Chalobah can be part of a good team,
Yeah,
but
because
he's
we've
also
seen it
another.
before.
Yeah, we've seen him before, but he's a secondary CB, like someone that is part of the squad,
Mm-hmm.
plays the cup matches in the early stages, plays when a player is injured,
Mm-hmm.
but generally he takes bench. He
Mm-hmm.
takes bench in an elite team. In an
Mm-hmm.
elite team that has elite defenders, he takes bench, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that is
Your level,
just
and you need that.
you need that. You need that. But see, defenders like Tosin, I personally think this is where like all these people they talk about great business. You know, on a free, great pickup. He's good to have, maybe even as a squad rotational player. Sure, okay, but this is Chelsea Football Club, man. Go out there and get yourself a proper defender first. Then you can think about rotational players and
Mm-hmm.
filling out the bench and this, that, the other.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Fofana, look, I think most of us can say prior to him getting that big leg break injury at Leicester, he looked like he was going to be something. But now, since that injury, he looks like he's never going to be that guy anymore. Do you know what I mean? He's just
Mm-hmm.
littered with mistakes and obviously now the injury. So I agree with you, Javon, man. It's just, it's a sorry state, man. Like,
Yeah.
in one hand, we can sit here and blame Maresca as much as we want. But Maresca's tied up as well. He don't
Yeah.
have the level of quality that is needed to compete. And do you know what, Javon? And I'm going to give it to you very, very soon to carry on with it.
Mm.
I said in my recent streams, and some people misunderstood this, but I've since corrected them. I said, talent in the Premier League is no longer the difference maker. Because
Mm.
pretty much everyone has talent. You look at every team. Brentford's got talent. Nottingham Forest have talent. Newcastle have talent. Fulham have talent. Brighton have talent.
Mm-hmm.
More or less, every team have talented players. And what I mean by talented players is technically gifted players, good
Mm-hmm.
technical players. What is the real difference maker, in my opinion, now? Once again, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not disregarding technicality. You need to have technicality. That's a given. I think what the difference maker is that desire,
Mm-hmm.
is that will to work hard off the ball, is
Yes,
that
sir.
desire to win duels, is that 50-50 that you're going to get in. And why do you think teams like Bournemouth win as often as they do, Javon? Not because they have a far superior talented team than anyone else. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. They win more games or they are competitive more often is because every one of these attributes that we talk about that are so important, ground duels, aerial duels, 50-50s. Intensity. Have a look at Bournemouth, and I've not seen any stats. I will be shocked if they're not good in all of these stats. I'll
Yeah.
be shocked. Same goes with Nottingham Forest. Same goes with many other teams.
Mhm.
These teams are not winning games solely because their players look aesthetically good. No, because they get down and dirty.
Mm.
Our players, I don't know, man. Like, as I said, more game in Instagram, bro. More
Yeah,
game
bro.
on Instagram.
Facts. Absolute facts. Because guess what? Look at our defenders. Their jerseys are never dirty coming off the pitch, bro. They don't get into scrap. It's as much. It's as like pace and power in the Premier League is starting to take over more than technicality. To add to your point, because you know what you get from pace and power, a player realizes he may not be good technical wise, but he can put in the hard shift.
Mm.
He can be robust. He can be physical.
Mm.
He can say, you know
players.
what?
He can bully players.
Exactly. Look at the lap against us. I was gonna say Holland, but people are gonna say, "Oh, it's Holland." Look at the lap then. Look at anybody that bullies our defenders because they know they're not going to rough them up. They know they're not going to make a a last-ditch tackle. They know they're not going to take a yellow card for the team. If you want to look at it like that, these example that Miz just listed, these teams and these players understand that, you know what? If I can't bop you off the pitch, I'm gonna fight you off the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to win. And I fully agree, bro. I fully understand.
Just to add to what you just said, once again, I reiterate, I'm not saying disregard technicality. Never. Some of the players Bournemouth have highly technical players. You think Justin Kluivert is some sort of a technical novice player? No. Justin Kluivert is just as technical, but he's as much working hard off the ball. You think Semenyo is technically
inept?
Not technically inept. No, he's technically very, very sound. So the Premier League is a beast. You got to be good technically because you can't. When you have the ball, you've got to have the ability. You got to have the first touch. You got to be able to take on your man. You got to be able to have the vision. You got to have that, the passing weight. That is all technical. However, in order for that to flourish, you got to have the ball.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't have the ball, your technical abilities is in the bin. So this is what I'm trying to get to, is that our players, you look at the game against Brighton. Bro, look at the game against Brighton. Look at the game against Brighton. The amount of challenges Brighton won. They're winning duels everywhere.
Bro, I didn't want to do any revisionism on the game, but you know what absolutely pissed me off? Madueke and Pedro Neto made Tariq Lamptey look like a world-class left-back.
Well, he locked them up. He locked them up.
And that's why I keep saying this entire squad is shit. Because you can't tell me that as a winger, the one that started in front of you, you see him get completely locked up. And you go on and do the same shit, maybe worse. Right? You look at Jadon Sancho. Sancho, you realize that Tariq Lamptey is doing the run, the pace up, the PNP thing, right? You have the technical ability. Screw what Maresca says. You rotate with Pedro Neto and you go on that side to see if you can get change out of that guy, because it's a cup game. It's a one-off. You need to get to the next round. And you don't tell me, you know what, yo, you don't even say, yo, Neto, switch for 2 minutes, switch for 3 minutes. Because you know what, Lamptey is just doing basic defending. Anytime any one of those players tries to knock it past him, he gets it, he puts his body between him and the ball. He times the time. You know what he does? He times when you're about to knock it past him and intercepts the ball. Yeah. If you put Sancho on that side, you know what Sancho is going to do? Sancho is going to make you dive in, flick the ball past you, and he gets by you each and every time because of his close-knit with the ball, his close-knit dribbling ability with the ball. See these things that I just said? An experienced manager would have known that. But guess who it goes back to? An experienced sporting director would have hired a better manager.
Right.
It goes back to that. And that's why people, I keep reiterating, I fully woken up. All of this is foolishness. We shouldn't be accepting of this. Right? I said on Twitter, the start of the season was a false positive. And the longer this continue, the more I will be right. Now, moving on to the next topic. The transfer window.
Mm.
And I wanted to have a discussion with you on this. I've seen you on Twitter say this is great business. Sarcastically, of course.
Yeah.
But when I saw you get mad at Joao Felix and Renato Vega being happy to move on, I'm like, bro, you can't be angry at these guys. It's not their fault. Because you know what? You cannot come to an agreement with these guys for them to accept being a rotational player and to accept rotational minutes and tell them with game time, these are the game time you're going to get, because obviously they're young enough and they would have expect, if I get the game time and if I play well, I can work my way into the squad. But if you're not even getting rotational minutes, which is what you were promised, I'd be off too. And I know you'd be off as well. So can you explain the anger behind seeing these guys happy elsewhere?
So this isn't even actually angry at them. I'm actually not even angry at any of these players. I'm not angry at Joao Felix. I'm not angry at Renato Vega. I'm not angry at Dissection. I'm not angry at any of these players. Nkunku. Because for me, it's not even about them. I'm angry at the situation. I'm angry at the circumstance we find ourselves in. When I see Renato Vega at Juventus and he's so happy, I'm thinking, which idiot sporting director and owners actually thought that this player was right player for us? Like, forget about the fact that he's happy there. I'm just thinking, you sold the project to Chelsea fan base, that this is your left back, center midfielder, CB. You, Mr. Sporting Directors and owners, sold the dream to the Chelsea fans that this guy was your guy. Now, it may not have been Renato Vega. It could have been some other name. This is what I'm saying. Renato Vega himself is not the problem for me. The situation is the problem for me.
Yep.
So you bought this player to do all of these things, and 6 months later he's doing that for some other club.
And he's playing great for the other club. He's starting for the other club.
For me, that's what happened. What happened here? What happened?
Explain.
How's this player playing elsewhere? What happened here? Okay, now you can say he's not happy. He doesn't want to be a rotational player. Well, was this not talked about? Was this when you did the interview with Renato Vega or we'll get to Joao Felix. Joao Felix is a little bit more complex. Let's stick with Renato Vega for a second. When you interviewed Renato Vega, let's pretend you and me, we're Winston Lee and Stuart, and we're talking to Renato Vega. Are we not saying to him, look, Mark Cucurella is the primary guy. Mark Cucurella is the primary guy. He's got a bit of experience. He's just won the Euros, and he's exactly what our manager wants in terms of left back that can go into the half spaces, that can invert, that can overlap, that can do a lot of things. He's jack of all trades, basically, right? Well, at least I know I'm saying that.
Yeah.
As a director, at least I know I'm saying that to the guy that I'm about to bring in. And I'm also saying to the guy that I'm about to bring in that you're a young guy. You're a young player. We believe in you. You're a young guy. We're going to give you X amount of money. And you're going to get the minutes here and there for sure. We have a future plan for you. But for now, Kukurea is the number one and you can learn from him.
See,
You can.
that's the thing right there, bro. That's the thing. I could put hand on heart, not being in the room. You have to say you can learn from him because he had just won the Euros. That has to be a selling point.
That's not a bad thing to say to a young player that was a nobody. No one knew about
Exactly.
Renato Vega. You are a nobody. And you are getting to learn from Kukurea, who's a Euros champion.
The best left best left back in the world currently.
This is not a bad thing.
Mhm.
So if I see a little bit of cockiness from this player, that this player's going, no, I don't really care about Kukurea. I'm here to be the number one left back. I don't care about Kukurea. I'm Portuguese. I'm number one Portuguese player. Then I'd be a little bit like, yeah, I don't know whether you're a right fit for me, you know.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure about you now. Because I'm looking for a young player that can be an understudy who in the future will take over. But right now, it's set in stone that Kukurea. But if I start seeing attitude that this guy is not who I think he is, no deal. Next, please. We'll keep looking. So, if this conversation didn't take place, what did? What conversation took place then? What was? Because this, what we just played out, seems like a logical
logical conversation.
So if this didn't take place, so then this must have took place. Hey, Renato Vega, you're going to be an important player for us. Yes, you're going to get minutes, lots of minutes. We've got a manager that's going to develop and going to focus on your development. And you are going to represent Portugal in the international level. You are going to be a very, very important player for us. All right, if you're Renato Vega, okay. I'm getting the vibes that I'm starting. I'm feeling those vibes now. All right, these guys have repeatedly said I'm an important player, a manager that supports me as well, going to develop me. I'm going to play internationally for Portugal. Okay. Shake hands. All right, we'll got a deal. All right, we'll play. I'm player. Yeah, shake hands. All right.
I play for Chelsea now.
Yeah, and then the season starts. And now I'm seeing, wait a minute. Those MFs told me I was meant to be the important player. Who's this Kukurea? Who's this guy? Who's this guy starting ahead of me? Always. How come I can't get a look in? Why am I getting these petty minutes in the Conference League? Who are these teams? I don't even know who they are. I'm not sure what's going on now. I've been built up. So, then on top of that, when he does get the chance, the manager's starting to see that, yeah, you need time. You need time. You're not there yet. Hold on, sunshine. Hold on. You're not ready yet. I don't know what was told. You're not ready yet. So, Javon, this is how I see the Renato Vega. I'm not pissed at him. I'm pissed at the situation.
Yep.
I'm angry at the situation because what has happened here? So, I'll let you talk about this before we touch on the Joao Felix, because Joao Felix one is a little bit more complex. But
because there's another scenario you forgot. There's one more scenario you forgot. That scenario. Let's go back to the first scenario. Okay. Let's say that is accepted. I'm a Chelsea player now. Yes, I'm here. Okay, Kukurea, nice. I'm learning from Kukurea. Oh, Kukurea is suspended for Liverpool. Kukurea is suspended for a couple games. My time now. Coach, where's Gusto going playing at left back? I thought I was a left back. Spencer right back. What are you doing, Coach?
What's going on?
Why is Levi Cole playing out there? He's ass. He's trash. What are you doing? And then you as Renato Vega, you promised me rotational minutes. Mariska, I don't know. I don't know you. I
wasn't involved. I wasn't involved.
What did Haaland say to Lewis Kelly? Who the F are you?
Who the F are you?
Mariska's like, the fuck are you?
I didn't see you in the roll call. I'm not sure who you are.
Yeah, so it still goes back to the sporting director, guys, as in, even if you did have that proper conversation, this clearly shows you never consulted Mariska. Simple and done. You just never consulted him.
Somewhere, someone didn't get consulted correctly.
Correct. Yep.
Now, we don't know who that person was. Could have been Mariska. Could have been Renato Vega. We don't know. But we've just played out all the scenarios, and it seems like something messed up here.
Correct.
Or else this player's not on loan.
Yeah. And he would have gotten more minutes to show that, to develop, basically. Stepped in when Kukurea is not there. He never once stepped in the right position that they briefed us on for when Kukurea is not there, unless we're already winning, like in the Conference League, where you should be able to be good enough to play in there anyways. You understand? Yeah. He's never truly stepped in, not even in the cup games. He's never truly stepped in as that left back. So that goes to show that the scenarios we just played out, one of them has to be true.
I don't see any other way. Like, somewhere here, there was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. And then it finally materialized to the point where Renato Vega said, I won out.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then we moved him on. Now, having said all of that, just my personal opinion on Renato Vega from the little bits and pieces that we did see, I have to say, initially I was a little bit impressed, but as it went on, I wasn't impressed. Because he lacked a lot in terms of what is required in the Premier League. He looked good in the Conference League because that level is so below par. But when it came to Premier League, he never looked the part. He never. Now, could he potentially one day look like he belongs in the Premier? Maybe. He's young. But right now, it definitely looked like he was not ready for it. Yes, he might be. To be honest, I watched the last game, Juventus game. I watched the last game. He started, yes. And I know a lot of people clipped up his clips and made a nice compile. I watched the game. I actually watched the entire game. He didn't do anything special, Javon. In fact, I felt there were times where he was unaware of his positioning, unaware of what was going on.
Very susceptible down his side. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
People need to be very, very careful. I've not seen anything special from this kid. So, once again, sporting directors buying a player as an opportunity, thinking
and not necessarily scouting, and that's why I think him being rotational was the right path for him, because he could develop that way. Because Kukurea is solid. And you can't give Renato Vega those one-off games, because Kukurea is really going to be missing games if he's suspended. Right? And he's even tightened up on that. So that's why I was comfortable with him being the backup. Right? Because I know he was going to get maybe 1 to 2 starting games, and then you give him those rotational minutes off the bench to help him develop, and he would have been fine with that. But he wasn't even getting that, Moving on. I'll let you take care of the Joao Felix section. Because I'm going to agree with you. Trust me, I'm going to agree.
The Joao Felix anger, once again, is based on the situation, as I've just mentioned about Renato Vega. The Joao Felix situation is, we never even wanted this guy.
Correct.
It was the striker that we were going for in Atletico Madrid. Now, the issue starts all the way from the top once again with the owners. The owners are looking to do a business relationship with Atletico Madrid. We are now that club that, we'll take one of your players, you take one of mine. Let's do this exchange business, help each other out, net things out. So we gave them Gallagher, and in this case, Atletico Madrid, they want to make sure their books are balanced as well. They want us to take one of their players. Initially, it was touted to be Omar Dion, which I had no idea who the striker was. I was just annoyed that we already have Jackson. Can we get someone that can actually come in and be a bit more experienced and compete with Jackson, maybe even take over Jackson? So for me, Omar Dion initially felt a bit underwhelming, that another young striker with a young striker, it's just not ideal. But obviously now we're seeing that Omar Dion, that would have been a good choice. But nonetheless, what I did back was the fact that he was a striker, because we needed a striker. So I backed the concept, just not the player at the moment, but I backed the concept. So Joao Felix was never meant to be a Chelsea player. It was meant to be the striker. Striker fell off. we were, bound to do a deal, or else Gallagher was going to be
With the
broken
mid
down.
state, yeah.
Joao Felix got thrown into us, and we have a business relationship, not just with now Atletico Madrid, but we also have a business relationship with George Mendes. George Mendes wanted to flog his player to somewhere and make his agents money, and he found the best solution was us. So, and we all said when we got Joao Felix that this is an unnecessary purchase because we've got Nkunku, we've got Cole Palmer. Why Joao Felix is what on top? It just doesn't make sense, right? So I'm not one bit surprised what happened to Joao Felix all throughout the season. I'm not one bit surprised because he was always surplus to requirements. So once again, Joao Felix going to AC Milan, being happy, this, that, the other. I'm not angry with him. I could care less about him. I'm angry with why is our club putting ourselves in this type of mess all the time? When are we going to be serious? This is the Premier League. We are not building a squad adequately enough to compete so the manager can have this team competing at the highest level. We're just doing all of this nonsense stuff and then expecting the manager to do well. This is why I was angry. And I've said this to Matisse as well, because Matisse and many other people, they wanted top 4 finish this season. I was probably the one of the very few that said, you know what, looking at the squad, it's not ready for top 4. It's probably at best 5th or 6th.
Yeah, because the squad was riddled with extra signings that were unnecessary signings, that's the right phrase, and subpar signings.
Yeah.
Coupled on top of people that was already there that's either subpar or just not good enough. So
exactly.
looking at it cumulatively, it was not good enough. What I will say is you were giving a squad, and that's where there's two sides of the coin, and that's where there's balance with everything, and that's why I always go back to on the pitch. You were still given an. I want your honest opinion on this. I still think if I still think if you were this is on the manager point, because two things can be right at once. I think if you were given us a manager that's tactically flexible, you still could have gotten more. You still could have been comfortably top 4, especially now when you consider how inconsistent everybody is. What do you think on that?
No, I agree, Javon. I think the point that you're trying to get to is that it is what it is. This is the cards that you've been dealt. Now play a game.
Yeah.
Now play the game and play it at the best. Don't tell me, I've never seen these cards. I can't play with these cards. I need different cards. I need my cards. I can't play with these cards. No, I'm sorry. At Chelsea Football Club, sometimes you're just going to have to make do and you got to get the best out of them. Like, a lot of people have said in recent times, and it's a very good point. Bournemouth, Javon. They lost Evan Nilsson and the Turkish striker, their second striker. They lost both their strikers, So how's Bournemouth still going on and winning games without both their key players,
bro,
who are so important to their structure and their style? Justin Kluivert steps in, and it's like
scores a hat trick, bro.
Yeah, in fact, it looks like maybe Justin Kluivert might become like the number 1 striker. Do you know what I mean?
I remember a random. This is not disrespect, but to just to add to Mrs. point, a random black brother, NPC brother, came in to play striker and scored a hat trick as well. What are you telling us?
Yeah.
And this is why I always go back to the pitch, bro. Yes, these things are a problem. Yes, we can get into the discussion. But you're telling me an inadequate squad, riddled with unnecessary signings, riddled with subpar players. If that is the case, that simply means you cannot be stringent in how you put out a match day squad.
Yeah.
Because you don't have your pieces to be stringent with. You don't have your left back or your left centre back that's brilliant in wide areas. You don't have your backup striker to the striker that you prefer. You don't have your goal scoring wingers. You don't have your favorite touchline wingers. You have people like Madueke, bro. You have people like Pedro Neto that's not playing well at the moment. You have people like Joao Felix and Nkunku. Be flexible tactically, because you know what this does? It gives you the opportunity to say, you know what? Let's do worst case scenario, because that's the mindset I'm at right now. You did all of this. You've proven to this board that no matter what I do, they're just simply shit. So you know what? It gives you the right to say, I want all of them gone in the summer. Because no matter what I do, it doesn't work.
It's just
But I
not good
play
enough.
my system.
Yeah.
Three at the back. Wing backs. We go through, you know, that FIFA list.
4-3-3, 4-2, 3-1, whatever the case is.
10-5. You put 50 out there and it's still
right
garbage.
side overload, left side overload, whatever the case is. Do you know what I mean? It's not working. It's not working. Yeah.
Because that way you genuinely prove that these players are just not good enough. So when you ask for these players and you ask for this type of quality, the club has no choice to say, cool, been this, I'm going to get the attribute you've asked for, and these players are simply just not good enough. That's where I'm coming from. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. You're going to find a formula to get you a winning, to give you another bow in your quiver to use against big teams and to, maybe use later on in the future, even when you get the players you want. That's why I'm so heavy on what I see on the pitch.
I agree, bro. I agree. But, all of this absolutely makes sense. But as you've said, and as I've said as well, it all comes down to who are we asking this from? A manager that's in this role for such a short time.
Yeah.
You can probably expect all of this from an elite manager. Go, hey, find a solution. And they probably would have found a solution.
Mm-hmm.
But to ask Maresca to find a solution, which, to be honest, it's not like he's found solutions to many different other things. He has. But to expect him to have full drawer of solutions package ready, no, you're asking
not
too
the
much.
guy. Yeah, you're right, and I accept that. I'm asking. You're right. I'm probably asking too much from him.
But because Javon, this guy's not like, he's only won a championship in his life. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not managed big clubs before. He's not managed big players. Not that any of our players are big or anything like that, but that fan base. He's not really. Yeah. He's managed Leicester. I don't look. No disrespect to Leicester, but
disrespect to Leicester from my side.
Chelsea fan base is incredible. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's never met anything like that in his life. So, we're probably just expecting too much from this guy. We're expecting too much. He should not have been. Like, his next club should have been. It's like the Graham Potter situation.
Yeah.
Graham Potter's next club should have been West Ham, which it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Maresca. Maresca's next club probably should have been Southampton.
Yeah. Or West Ham.
West Ham maybe is still a bit too much. Potter went to West Ham after 3 seasons with Brighton, I think.
Oh yeah, true. And 1.5 a season with us. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So Maresca skipped many levels in between.
Mm-hmm.
Many levels. So I think something like a Southampton, something even like a Ipswich, I don't know, would have been. Hell, stay with Leicester.
Yeah, because you got him here. Let's see if you can keep him here. You're right. You're right.
Stay
you're
with
right.
Leicester. Stay with them. But when Chelsea come knocking, they're not saying no.
So it all goes back to those 2 numpties up there, the sporting directors, and
above them, Javon, because those sporting directors are not running on their own. They're getting the directive from above that get me a manager that is also young and that I can push around, that is not going to make too much fuss, listen to what I have to say, and is good with player development. When I bring in young players on a regular, he'll up their values.
So can we have a conversation on that? Because that's going to be the last topic, because I'm enjoying the conversation and I see the time going.
Right, brother.
I'm just going to pose the question and then we'll dissect it. Is is there a way to say that the instruction given is not necessarily the worst thing, but the sporting directors are so bad at their job, they make it look like it's the worst instruction that could be given to a top football club?
That's a damn good question, Javon. Yeah, not many people think like this, you know. People that are going to be watching this question that Javon has said has been circulating in my mind for a little while, but I've not been game enough to talk about it.
Me
It's
ready.
interesting. It's interesting that Javon's brought this out. Maybe it's right time to have a conversation, and it gives us a different perspective because we're all going in the one perspective now, right? Oh, this guy's bad, this guy's bad, this. Maybe if we play devil's advocate here, maybe as what Javon just said, maybe the owners are not providing such detailed objective. Maybe they're providing, this is my remit. I generally want to have youngish players that I can develop that can hold a good resale value down the track that makes the balance sheet look good. Maybe the owners are not necessarily saying, pick me only 18, only 19, and pick me Matisse Omogo, pick me this, pick me that. So they've got a broader perspective, and they've given that broader perspective to the sporting directors and saying, you guys work within this parameter, but still manage to build a good squad.
Yeah.
So let's play this out.
Yeah. Ready.
If that's the thing, then is there a possibility out there, Javon, that the sporting directors within this barometer, within this parameter, can still create a better squad of young players that can actually be of some use to Enzo Maresca and still be competitive in the Premier League? I think the answer is
100% yes. Because we
yes.
could pick up, me and you could pick out people.
I think you might be onto something. I think the answer has to be that surely it is a yes. There are players, Javon, out there, and you'll agree with me, who are 21, 22, but they've already played a good amount of football in the highest level, and they're competent players who hold better footballing IQ and who can do a great job.
Yeah.
But it seems like our sporting directors probably lacked in that area. They've gone and done all of this business that maybe they didn't need to do those particular ones. Like they needed to, I don't know. Let's just say, now there is another layer, Javon, that maybe the owners also said that you can't break a certain wage barrier. Like I was thinking in my head, what if someone like Florian Ritz from Leverkusen, top baller, right? Top baller, Florian Ritz. Now, would he be someone who will accept a certain amount of wage to come to Chelsea Football Club? Also, how much would his cost be? So, can these sporting directors actually go out there and buy top quality young players? I don't know.
But Miz, what are the title of these people? Just talk. Let's have a back and forth here, because I'm going to get to a point. What are their titles?
For the sporting directors?
Yeah, you just said it.
Yeah, sporting directors. Yeah.
Right. Shouldn't that mean, okay, I'm a sporting director, I should be competent in negotiating? You take a look at a player like, this is just an example, Kvaratskhelia, making 30K a week
This is a very good example.
at Napoli.
Yeah.
He was bought to go to PSG for around 60 million. You, and I'm looking in the camera for this one, you, Mr. Winstanley and Paul Lawrence Stewart, you are telling me, say you couldn't get him to the door and put him on 120? Screw the 120s on 30. You were telling me you couldn't bring him to the door for 90 with bonuses and add-ons to make it 110, 120?
Yeah, this is meant to be your competent, area of work.
You're telling me, and then and he's young enough, and you're telling me he comes up, puts on blockbuster performances if you partner him with a Cole Palmer, maybe a Verts, maybe a Musiala. You're telling me even if the sporting even if the owner said, I want to make sure his sell on value can double. You're telling me a club like Barcelona, Real Madrid, them type of clubs see him pull up certain performances, get us into the Champions League, has us competing. You're telling me they're not going to be knocking on the door when he's 26, 27?
100%. 100%. And that's a very good example. Kvaratskhelia is one that it fit all our bill, like it fit our project. How and how much did PSG get him for? 60 million, was it?
Yes, and I can and I can actually pull it up now. Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let me pull it up.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was 60 million, and that's something that's within our remit. We've done 60 million, pounds.
Petronetto.
Yeah, we've done this sort of business.
It
that one
is
is
72 million. 72 million. So it's
72
right
million.
around our price range.
Yeah. So we've done this type of businesses. And you're telling me in return you couldn't give someone to Napoli? You could have balanced things out by giving someone to Napoli.
Miss, hold up. Because let's say we're operating let's say none of this never happened, right? We're operating, we are both the competent sporting directors, and we get the instruction, young, maybe up and coming, can give you a resale value. Kvaratskhelia on the left, Palmer down the middle as a cam, Pedro Neto on the right, and to balance that, you bring in a young enough striker, maybe an Ashiman when he was 25, maybe a Gyökeres last season because he was still doing what he's doing this season last season.
Yeah, or even Sesko.
Or even Sesko. You bring in them because they would facilitate for Pedro Neto and Kvaratskhelia because they have a focal point to get their best attributes out of, which is crossing, beating people, getting people on the cutback. You're telling me that front four is not a better squad that still amount to the value of money you've spent so far in those areas. That's not a better squad than what we have now. Plus, you could have still gotten Delap as a backup. Come on, bro. And it's not like they were on crazy money. They're not on crazy money.
You're right, bro. Javon, time will come very soon where our owners will have to make a decision. If these sporting directors stay on, then it gives us a message that the owners are happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then that's when we can say, you know what? No matter what the owners do, it's nonsensical.
Yeah. But if by the end of the season, if it's another flop season and the owners take a decision that, you know what, I need to get these two out, this is not working out, then we'll realize, okay, so maybe it wasn't just all on the owners, but it was also on the incompetence of the sporting directors as well. So we'll soon figure out which it is. Because if it's not them, then the owners are happy with everything.
Yeah.
And if it is them, then we are still dubious on the owners, but maybe it goes to your point that perhaps even within these parameters, you can still do a better job.
Bro,
you can still build a better squad. And this is something I think a lot of people don't want to entertain because we want to live in a situation where we don't believe this project from the owners. Because this project hasn't won anything for any top clubs out there. But at least what we're trying to do is play devil's advocate to think that maybe it can be slightly better than what it is now. Do you know what I mean?
Miz, you know what just occurred to me? Omar Marmoush.
60 million as well, right? Or 70 million, 75 million.
Yes, sir.
75 million. Yeah, 75
30K again.
Yeah.
And City bumped him up to 300K. We didn't have to go 300K. And the reason I'm using Omar Marmoush as a symbol You attack players like Omar Marmoush. Breakout season, right? Scoring goals for fun. You're on peanuts. You're playing for a club like Frankfurt. City should not be the first person at your door, bad man. I should have we, because that's our game. That's our remit. That's us. You want the next top club to go to that you can gel with just as talented people to get to world class elite level. That's us. We that. Don't look over City people. Don't look over City Marmouche. They only sign big players. We're that club now. Because guess what? You're still going to win trophies with us, but you're doing it amongst your prayers so you can grow with together to build that stronger bond. Right? That's what I'm talking about. When these players are having their breakout top level season, that's the guy. Because he's gotten experience. He's getting there. He's on the track back to be elite.
See, I'm pretty sure there was a report somewhere not that long ago. It might have been Athletic, it might have been somewhere else. See what you just said, right? Breakout season. They want their guy before the breakout season.
That's it.
So this is why, Javon, we're in this situation where we have a lot of players, young players, that we will never know whether they will ever have a breakout season or not. Now, our owners probably feel that our sporting directors have a little bit of a credit in the bank because they did madness with Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
So Cole Palmer was someone who showed he had the talent to have a breakout season. So we got him before the breakout season. And then he had the breakout season. And now that 45 million odd whatever we spent for him looks like a biggest bargain, right? So this is what I think our owners, I don't know whether it's owners who've said this or the sporting directors have suggested this to the owners, that we will get a player. We are so good at scouting. And I think I'm pretty certain the owners have hired both Winston Lee and Lawrence Stewart specifically for this, to find players before the breakout. Because they've done it in Brighton, they've done it in Monaco, finding players before their breakout. And this is why they're here. So, maybe it's the owner's remit, but here's another theory. Now, the owners have set out an objective, whether it's broad objective or whether it's specific objective, we don't know. But they've got in these two directors. Here's the theory that I have in my head. Couldn't these sporting directors have said to the owners, okay, we will go out there and find generally young players, but is it okay to at least have one or two a little bit more experience to create a bit of balance in the team? Like, do we have the clearance to go and do that type of business as well? Because it's not wise to have an entire squad full of these type of players. You're not going to be able to compete, because I know I used to be at Brighton and we didn't compete. I know I used to be at Monaco and we didn't compete. It was good for the club. It was good business. We made money, but we didn't compete. So what would you want? Do you want a mixture of some of these so that we can compete or not? And maybe the owners said, don't worry about competing. Just get me players that's just going to make me money.
You know why I don't think that happened? Because as a sporting director, you would have still said you would make more money by competing in the highest level. See what I'm saying? Because remember, when you're being hired for a job, you still do some level of negotiating, whether that's your role or whether that's how much you get compensated. So, I really don't. I really think we have a bunch of sporting directors that just went to the job interview and say, "Yes, boss, I'm happy for the opportunity. Let's move." Because as a sporting director, whether the remit stays the same, your finding and your money doubles the higher the club name is. So let's say we were in Champions League week in, week out. The more money you make, so when you do scout these players, you're still scouting better quality players.
Yeah.
And at this point, Chelsea's everywhere because we're in Champions League and we're competing in Champions League. Those top level, top of the top, you youngsters that you go for are willing to come. When Chelsea knocks on your door now as a youngster, Matthias Tell can't even reject us. Hell, I'll argue we wouldn't even been for Matthias Tell.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
The more pristine or the more prestigious the club is in its current form, the more weight your word, the more weight your word carries, the more value your approaches make. Perfect example. This is just an example. This is not a one-to-one comparison.
Yeah.
When Real Madrid comes knocking, everybody. So imagine us doing the same remit, but competing at a high level. When Chelsea comes for these talented young players, Marmoush, you get Musiala, even though it's at Bayern, head's still going to turn. Vert, Leverkusen, time for your next club. Head turning. We want a left winger. We didn't get Kvaratskhelia. Rodrigo. What's going on?
Yeah.
Because we've built up that brand as, okay, we're going to go young, but we're going to go young elite or young potentially elite.
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think that conversation happened. I think it's a bunch of yes man.
I think you're right. I think they just, the reason why I said this is so that the listeners can get a full picture of what are the different scenarios that could have happened, what are the different theories that could have happened. And when you play everything out, you can then sort of eliminate, I don't think this happened because these men don't give me the impression that they're big enough to say that kind of stuff. Yeah. These men give me the impression that they're more of a yes guy, and they just came to the interview and just said, yes, boss. Yes, boss. I can do that, boss. I have done it before. I will do it again. So you're right. You're right. They probably, and it makes sense because, look at Matisse Omogo is the epitome of what these sporting directors have agreed on.
Yep.
His signing tells us 100% that you are a yes man.
Yep.
You've signed up for this. Because or else you don't get Matisse Omogo on top of Andre Santos, on top of Leslie Ogochukwu, on top of Romeo Lavia, who's granted he's injured, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. You don't get Matisse. Yeah, Dewsbury Hall. You don't get Matisse Omogo if that's the case. But you got Matisse Omogo. Why? Opportunity.
And another thing to add to that, you don't get Matisse Omogo when you need a striker or a defender. These people see the house is burning down and go and buy more fire.
Yeah, exactly. The house needs water to be put out. Now let's pour more petrol.
Yeah.
let's ignite it even more.
Yeah, it absolutely madness. But we'll wrap it there.
Yeah.
Miz, brilliant discussion. I probably surprised you a bit in terms of some of the things that I've said.
There were some questions that surprised me, yeah, for sure.
But top discussion, and some of these questions we're gonna have to ask on All You Can Eat Chelsea because we need to hear what the other boys think.
100%.
Please let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, the other side of the coin, nearly at 40,000, so that'd be great if you guys can subscribe. And 2 pieces of content on a regular, and we will keep a track of everything Chelsea Football Club's going to be up to. It'll be interesting ride till the end of the season.
Yep. Yes, people, thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Please hit the notification bell to get notified for when I upload a new video. You already know, I have another episode of the Sideline View coming out. I'm going to have to... I live to hold Robert accountable because it makes the show interesting. And Marshall and I go absolutely ballistic with some of the things he says. Goonie should be returning back on the channel this week. He's been busy. And yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Peace.